Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I mean,
your mic is unprotected.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll be
Yeah.
a naked
Wow.
mic. Watch your piece. Don't
Called
pop
raw
the
dog.
piece.
Raw dog in the show here.
Anyway,
This was the episode that Mike Dussault was excited about the future.
I saw Vrabel jump into practice, and I'm like, oh, that's it. 10 wins.
it would have been 2 more wins last year, which means 2 more wins this year,
Yeah.
which means the floor is 8.
Fred has spoken.
The ceiling is 7 for Paul.
I am still.
Did you
I'm
body
old.
surf?
I'm old, and I
you're
still
still
have
feeling
not
it.
recovered. And then I was at the Celtics game
I
last
heard you got
night.
into it with a Shiza fan.
Shizai.
Bart on the market? Does he care?
We're working on it.
You know,
Oh, like some people just don't care. Like
He's married to the game.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Do a dating show for him.
I know it's hard to imagine that this was off the market.
Well,
I know.
I saw your prom photo.
Not for long. That light blue suit.
Pim Perillo.
Junior Harbor Cruise.
Pimping ain't easy.
It was
had
Pimp
two
of the
proms.
Year. Pimp of the Year, Paul Perillo.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and it's a busy day. It's the first OTA that the media has had access to. So right now you see that I'm all by my lonesome. I'm Fred Kirsch. But soon, momentarily, I'll be joined by the gang. They're just wrapping up practice and player availability after practice. So don't fear, you won't have to put up with just me for the next 2 hours. But as I said, practice was today. I was out there for a little bit before I had to come in. Pretty nice day here at Gillette Stadium, a little overcast, cool, I would say, a little mild for this time of year. Temperature in the 50s, a little bit of breeze. Teams were out in helmets and shells, so they had their jerseys on with their numbers, as in years past. Remember, sometimes they didn't put numbers on until into training camp at some point when the preseason game started, but they had numbers right away. So we'll get an attendance report, a full attendance report when the guys get back. But it was a nice day out there. It looked like a normal practice. Started out with some unit drills, then it went to stretching, then they break out back into, the position drills. I don't know if they got into 7-7s. I didn't stay that long. We'll get that report a little later. But it was, I would say, a productive day for the team. Good to be out there. Mike Vrabel had a press conference prior to the practice where he talked about, it's mostly a teaching practice this time of year, but there is some evaluation that goes on. Not really like who's going to beat out who for a position, but more how is an individual doing? How have they taken to learning so far? Are they Are they making mistakes more than once? Are they absorbing what they're telling us? So in that way, there is evaluation that's going on in addition to the teaching. And as I say that, the ultimate teacher comes in and sits down. It's Mike Dussault, the first off the field.
Hello.
Mike,
I know.
I was just giving people a little bit of an update of what I saw, but I left early.
Yeah?
Pretty much right after stretching. So you can fill us in what happened after that.
Well, I feel compelled to probably just tell people that Drake May did throw 4 interceptions today, and that's probably going to be a headline for a lot of a lot of the reports you read. But hearing from the people after the practice, including Hunter Henry, said this is our second day all together working on this. Second day in the Josh McDaniels offense. So just to give everybody a little bit of a heads up.
I like to focus on the positive. Who caught the interception?
All right. Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez had 2 of them as I consult my notes here. It wasn't like, oh, my God, terrible interceptions. But, a couple of them were really nice plays by Gonzalez. It was a tough period where it was Del Pettis. Then Gonzalez got 2, and then Craig Woodson, the rookie, caught a deflected interception as well. So it was a rough little period there for Drake that I'm sure everybody's going to talk about and overreact to. But I'll just say this. Let me just.
Oh, God.
Well, well, before we get back to that, though, I'd just say the thing that caught my eye as I was walking out here was Morgan Moses and Will Campbell, a one-on-one session in the middle of the practice field.
I might need a moment.
No,
I might need a moment.
You'll be happy to know that our video team, members of our video team, were capturing this. But, I mean, it went on a good I would say 5 to 10 minutes, that Morgan Moses is just exactly taking young Will Campbell under his wing, giving him some coaching points. So that, as I walked up, that was
all excited about that.
No, everybody was kind of like, hey, look, it's like everybody could tell. But no, so I thought there was a lot to take away from today, but those are going to be the headlines. So I just feel like you got to get it out. People are going to be, they were asking Hunter Henry about the interceptions. They asked Christian Gonzalez about the interceptions. So like I said, it's day 2 for these guys in this offense. So
they actually did do like 7-on-7 or 11-on-11?
Yeah, they did some 11-on-11 work. And, at the end there was more walkthrough speed, and you could hear Vrabel like, we're not trying to make plays on the ball. Like, this is just walkthrough. Which Paul turned to me and was like, I hope the media made note of that, because it's a little bit of a different pace there at the very end. But I thought, though, after that session where Drake threw those interceptions, he bounced back. He had some nice plays. I had one nice throw to Kyle Williams down the sideline. I think everyone wants to hear about the rookies. Kyle Williams was very involved today, as was Travion Henderson. Both those 2 rookies getting a lot of run. And Will Campbell was
Henderson
just
catching balls?
Catching the ball, looked comfortable, looked smooth. I think, I don't want to speak for Paul, who unfortunately can't be here, but he said he did. He felt like Henderson looked really comfortable catching the ball, which if you watched him play in college. But once he gets here in the NFL and you see him in a Patriots, helmet and practice uniform, it's a little bit different. So I thought those guys this stood out to me.
That's great.
Yeah, some good stuff.
And then as far as coaching, obviously you mentioned Mike Vrabel. I told our listeners that he had his pre-practice press conference.
Yep.
But some of the other new coaches, did you catch a glimpse of like their style?
Yeah,
obviously McDaniels. Everybody probably want to know. Like, he was obviously very involved with Drake.
It's just great to see the visor back out there, the Drake May visor, where the Josh McDaniels visor. I'm merging them together. But Scott Booker continues to stand out to me. And I don't know if that's simply a function of Terrell Williams not being here yet to coordinate the defense. I know he said Zach Kerr, the linebackers coach, has been taking a bigger role. He was very active in some of the defensive periods I watched. But Scott Booker's just hard to miss. He's a very loud voice. He seems like he knows where he wants guys. He's always got a smile. He's just got a lot of really great energy. Everyone focuses on Vrabel's energy and him dropping energy. And there wasn't as much of that today. Certainly helping various groups out, but wasn't as much in the drills. At the end in that walkthrough period, hopped out at a safety spot to give a look. But yeah, those are the Booker's the guy that stuck out to me for sure.
And did we have a chance to have a first look at our new kicker? Or rookie kicker?
A little bit, yeah. They did a short kicking period. The first one he kicked, it went through. Me and Paul. I mean, we're getting to be more refined with our kicker. It was kind of going 10-4. It was a little bit of sideways, but then his other ones looked fine. I mean, he hit all of them. It was a very short. It wasn't a competitive period. They weren't trying to amp up like last year they did, where the team lines up around them, and it was just kind of, hey, kick some field goals. So he was fine. I don't think. I'm just sorry. I'm still gathering my thoughts here. I don't think Farmer was out there. Joshua Farmer, one of the rookies. So he was one of the ones missing. But for the most part, they had pretty much the whole group. I mean, Diggs wasn't there. Stevenson, which I don't know if you talked about that yet. But,
no, I haven't.
His father passed away in March. So Mike Vrabel talked a little bit about that. He was here. He's left. So they've been in communication. He's dealing with that at home.
Yep.
But really, those were the only 3. A lot of guys limited, though. But for the most part, the whole team is pretty much here. Other than Diggs, Stevenson, and Farmer. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, from what I gathered, the vibe was really good, upbeat, energetic, breaking out of huddles quick, music playing.
Yeah.
And, some fans might be interested to know, were there any notable differences from last year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there weren't a lot of differences last year between what we had seen under Bill Belichick and, then this year. And I mean, I find it interesting, but it's just kind of changing up the dynamics of when you stretch, and instead of being, all right, we're going to stand on the sidelines and walk to the middle and back, we're all going to be down one end and walk from the end zone forward. So some subtle differences like that, but I think overall the general feeling of how practice goes, where they get out there, they do a little walkthrough with some positional stuff. I guess now I'm saying it though, Fred, maybe that's the difference. In the past, it felt like we get out there, they'd do a walkthrough that was like we couldn't tape it or anything because they'd be working on some kind of team piece of it. And
Well, it
they'd
might be
have-
too early for that, really.
Yeah, maybe it might be too early. But now it seems like the earlier drills, and again, this could just be OTAs, but more position group based. It's a little looser. Guys are a little slower coming out. I think that's just OTA related. But but once you got into it, I'd say generally it kind of follows the same. You get into 11 on 11, 7 on 7 towards the end.
And when Paul and Evan comes, we'll get their take on it as well. While you're here, I also want to mention, people probably know that on Friday we released the episode 1 of Forged in Foxborough. So far, it looks like you all like it. About over 370,000 views just on YouTube.
It's awesome.
So, I want to get into that. If people have comments about that, what they like, what they didn't like. Mike, I saw that you had an extended review with Fitzy online.
I went on with Fitzy this morning. He, wanted to talk a little bit about it. Of course, I think I have about a 30, and not even 20-second cameo in it, which was really cool to be part of it. But for me, I talk about it all the time on this show. I always bring up the football life with Bill back in 2009. And for me, seeing behind the scenes of a coach speaking to the team and really how the coach wants to mold that team and putting his imprint on it, I think that, to me, right from the get-go with Vrabel behind the scenes, hearing him talk to the team, and it just reinforces for me what we've seen out at these 2 practices we've watched so far, that he's putting his stamp on this team. Like, this is his team. He knows what he wants. He knows what he's looking for, and had an extended kind of, not talking to, but just broke the team down for a while at the end of practice, giving his message. So it's just, you can tell. I mean, it's the same thing I noticed where it doesn't matter what position it is. He's talking to the punt returners about, you just see him going up to the random third string guy that just took a rep and getting up there and showing him the technique that he's looking for. So it's encouraging.
I mean, it's going to be fascinating this year because we've got a guy in Mike Vrabel who, throughout his playing career, it was obvious that this guy was going to be a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who interacted with him on the field saw how smart he was and how he absorbed everything, not just like his own position, but what the whole team was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also absorbing, as he went along, how coaches operate and how practices were operated. And, during the week, how, Bill prepared the team for the opponent. And then not just here, but in all his stops, Ohio State and Houston Oilers. And it's just so obvious. So now, he has his first stint in Tennessee, and I think the Patriots are going to have the benefit of a guy who now gets another chance at it, and who's learned even more, and, can learn not only the stuff that he did well, but from his mistakes in Tennessee. And we're going to be the beneficiary of that. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see that. And when I see him out there, that's what I see. I see a guy that's ultra confident in what he's doing and knows what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, he knows, okay, this is how I want to interact with special teams. And by the way, the first group that he was with today was special teams.
Mm-hmm.
You would think, he's going to go right to the defense or Drake. No, he was special teams. And I think every part of this team, I think he has an idea already how he wants that unit to be and how his interaction and his involvement in that group will be. I think he's got the whole season planned out.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Well, and that's what I said to Paul. Paul was getting ready to interview him for something he's writing. I think it might be for the Game Day magazine. But that's what my interesting question for Vrabes is just, what did you learn? Like, what's different? How did you go into Tennessee? What did you change a little bit? We always knew he had the knowledge. I think what's been fun for me to watch is him develop his coaching style. It's one thing to have the knowledge to be able to coach it, but you also have to teach. And we hear him talk about being a teacher so much. So I think you really see the influence of his parents as educators on him, getting guys up to speed. And clearly the guy can hold a room and capture attention.
Evan has joined us. Evan, you are out there.
Has returned from practice.
Put him on the. Where is he? Cut to Evan. There he is. It's good to be back. We couldn't take my song out. Is that to be burned? The old Deuce song.
Evan, you got a song.
I'm special. No, it feels good to be back. Right, back in the saddle.
Little football.
Little ball.
Yeah.
Watch a little ball. Talk a little ball with Barty up there.
So what
Walk him off the ledge.
Deuce already gave the headlines that probably everyone will be, which was Drake May's day.
Yeah.
But aside from that, what would be your headline?
I would say, just looking at the two pairings on defense, Christian Barmore and Milton Williams on the defensive line, and then obviously Gonzo and Carlton Davis at corner. It felt like those two guys, those tandems were together all day long, working early on, and I think you can see the goal there, see the vision in terms of the roster on defense. And, we always get out at these practices and it's always, was it a good day for the offense or a good day for the defense or a bad day for the offense or whatever the case may be. But Christian Gonzalez looked like the best player on the field, which I don't think is a big surprise, but it was certainly palpable in this practice. Just, I thought his second interception that he had on Drake May was just an incredible play. I mean, you look at that play and you kind of just have to tip your cap to the corner and be like, that's. I mean, he covered like 40 yards. Well, I don't know what.
As you say that, isn't this good for Drake May to have Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez in every one of his practices, and to be going against what could be one of the best, pairs of corners in the league every day.
Yeah.
Just the way Brady, benefited from having Ty Law out there, and
Yeah.
So
I love it. We want him to throw interceptions.
Well, it's not. It's not so much that, but he's going to learn from practice. Where I would say, there might be a lot of young quarterbacks who don't have, that type of, skill, working against them, where they don't get to learn in practice as much. So another thing to be excited about if you're a Patriots fan.
Sure, and both those guys, Davis and Gonzalez, hopping in. Gonzalez last year was coming off an injury. He was still getting his feet wet and understanding how to play. So, yeah, it's a lot of promising pieces on defense. I mean, there's plenty to digest. But it seems like a lot of different personnel moving around, trying guys out at certain spots. Thought the safeties got a lot of long looks. The lower end safety guys, like the Del Pettises of the world, the Craig Woodsons of the world. Those guys getting a lot of runs. So it's fun. I mean, it's fun for me as a defense guy to see it start to come together, and to see Spillane out there and the free agency behind the guys that Evan mentioned with Barmore and Williams, and you really see the core of this new defense. It's going to be different, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Anything else, Evan?
Well, I know that the headlines are going to be about the 4 picks, and I know that's going to. A lot of people are going to read that and be like, uh-oh. And I would just say it's very early on. Like, we're watching day 2 of OTAs, and we're watching an offense with Josh McDaniels that I kind of expected to be a slow burn. Like, I think we talked about it, that it's a lot of mentally on the quarterback. There's a lot of technical things. There are instances today where, he's hot. He's got, an unblocked blitzer, and he's got to make a quick decision. And, was that a protection thing that they should have moved the protection to pick up the blitzer? Or is he supposed to just throw? And there's some hesitancies there, and, route details. And, like, there's all these little intricacies to offensive football, especially in this kind of system, that on May 20th, like, there's just going to be bumps in the road. And you just hope as we go here that it just gets better and better and better, and those mistakes become fewer and fewer. Nobody likes to see the quarterback throw picks. Like, that's not going to be positive no matter what. But I'm not surprised that, as we see it here in a very early stage of the offseason, that this McDaniels offense isn't what it's going to look like come September or October or November. It's a complicated system. It's going to take some time.
Of course. All right, let's get to some calls. Is Paul coming, or is he?
No, he had to go to his thing.
Oh, that's right. He's got a thing.
Yep.
Okay.
I sat with him, though. I got all his thoughts.
Okay.
He's very excited. Very excited.
All right. Well, let's add in some listeners, and also remember, I want to carve out some time at some point for your reaction to Forge and Foxborough to see what people have to say about that. But while practice is still fresh on our minds, let's get any questions that we might have. We'll start with Patty in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Patty.
Hey.
Hey, Fred. I just want to go straight to Forge and Foxborough.
Okay.
I watched the whole thing to the end, including all the credits, and I just got to say a big bravo to you, my man. And I've said this almost every year that I've been a listener and a caller and an emailer for the last 30 years. You are the undisputed king of Patriots media.
Well, I had probably the least amount to do with it than anyone, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
But anyone that doesn't know the name Fred Kirsch or Patriots Unfiltered, or that does not come to Patriots.com, you're doing yourself a disservice as a Patriots fan.
Well,
That's all I got to say.
all right.
Can't
Thanks,
wait to hear
Patty.
what happened in practice. Later, guys.
Okay, thank you,
Patty.
Patty. Unfortunately, he's talking to people who do know the show. So, but I appreciate
That was kind of a fun part for me, though. Like, obviously, the whole thing was great, but then you get to the credits, and it's like all people that you know and are friends with, and you just see all your coworkers getting some shine. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worry about that though. I don't like the, giving credit to ourselves. Like today, I guess we won a bunch of awards, Telly Awards for various things that we did in 2024, including the Tom Brady Day, and it's great. But I feel uncomfortable saying, "Oh, look what we won." I know that's the way it is today, and you celebrate your accomplishments and all that, but. I don't know. I was kind of schooled under a different regime where you kind of give credit to others, and
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's that, Matt?
Why Patriots Unfiltered didn't get nominated for anything?
Because we didn't nominate it for anything.
Podcast
we
of the
probably
year.
should have.
We absolutely should.
Yeah. Is there like a podcast thing that you can do?
Well, there's the Channel Market Media Survey, right, that they do every year, where they say,
yeah.
the best Patriots podcast.
Yeah,
the
that's a
best-
survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually register in that one, don't we?
Yes. Sometimes.
Even though we're not listed, people write us in.
Yeah.
We don't get
Well, they
respect.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we. Like it.
But Matt, we'll make note of that for next year to whatever the podcast award committees are.
When Rhode Island Monthly's best podcast for sports.
It was Rhode Island Monthly's best pod. Oh,
We just gotta submit it.
okay.
Love it.
All right, good.
A lot of these awards, it's like you just have to submit it.
I
Like,
know,
You just
I know.
If
And
you
that's-
submit it and you pay the fee, you might win.
That's the other thing. It's like they're all of them are money making.
That was like
thing,
I discovered when I was like screenwriting contests that huge. It's just that people who can't screenwrite, then they have screenwriting contests. And like, pay me to read your scripts, and here's the best one.
Right. Yeah, it's a money grab. All right, Dominique is in New York. What's up, Dominique?
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Good.
Good. First and foremost, congrats on the Patriots documentary fortune for Foxborough. Phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Evan, I know you're not a fan of Hard Knocks, but for me, this is our Hard Knocks, and I actually appreciate the hype that it's given me for the season. I appreciate the shots of Will Campbell just being brought into Foxborough, getting a little bit of understanding what the draft process was for the past this year. So y'all did a phenomenal job. I'm really excited to see the second episode and get to know the players a little bit more. Just, get some interviews. So great job there, y'all, for real. Great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I have a quick question outside of that. I know we all know that may have the tools to be the franchise quarterback. I think some people are already labeling that. Some are a little bit hesitant. I feel like with these conversations, I always try to point to at least a string of plays or games where you realize he is the one or he should be the one. Can either of you, all three of you, recall when you realized, whether it was a game, a string of plays that Drake made is the potential franchise quarterback for the next 10, 15 years for the past? And I'll take it offline.
Okay, thanks. So when was the moment last year where you realized he is or could be the franchise quarterback? Now, if it's Paul, he'd say, I haven't yet.
I do, yeah. And I don't think he'd be totally wrong to say that, but I would say just for me, that Houston game when he threw the touchdown to Booty. I mean, we saw throws like that in training camp, and he just translated it to a game, but that's as close as I can get. I can't really say, like, oh, this was the moment I knew for sure. Like, him doing that in a game to me just showed this kid can push the ball down the field. He's not afraid, and he's going to throw everything he has into it out there. So, but we'll see this year. Like, I don't want to make that jump yet. Like, I want it this year. I want this year to be like he's taking
I don't think there was any one moment. I think it was a compilation of a skill set that I saw. Like him being able to do different things at a high level.
Yeah.
He hasn't done the big thing, which is like, lead a comeback. And,
right.
And,
well, the end of the Tennessee game was like as close as I could get.
He didn't close the deal.
Right.
So there's still more to be seen.
For sure.
Obviously, number one is eliminating those mistakes. But I think over the course of the games, I saw a skill set that has said, okay, this can be elite if now the head follows.
Yeah.
The skill set's there.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would put it. Not to play Paul, but I don't know if he's the franchise quarterback yet. He's got to go out there and win games, but you see the flashes of him being a franchise talent. Let's see if he can be more consistent. Even today, like he makes some great throws today. He also made some not so great throws. So like if you got to package the great ones and kind of put those in a bottle and make those more consistent, and then you have a franchise quarterback. But the Rams game, I would say, was probably his best game from start to finish, where I started to be like, all right, some of these throws, some of the reads he was making, things like that are really, really high level. And I thought that was his best game last year. So if there was a moment that I said, okay, we have legs here, this could have a makings of it, I would say probably against the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, some of the out-of-pocket stuff, throws out of pocket on the run, in today's NFL, if you're not Tom Brady, to be elite, you need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just so hard because he has all the talent in the world necessary to do it, but so do a lot of other guys that never put it together.
Right.
So it's, there's got to be some magic within, and I was looking back at my notes, bouncing back after that 4 interception one, 85 on a crosser, Williams on the sideline. I thought that was a pretty nice throw, and then a little back shoulder, a little fade to Baker against Gonzalez. So he did make some nice throws today.
Yeah, the one to Williams was probably his best throw. It looked like, as Paul likes to say, it looked like an NFL play. The timing and the rhythm of it looked really good. The interceptions, I think, are all just little things where he's learning. He's learning. All right, that's Christian Gonzalez over there. Like, I gotta make him respect that I could throw the flat here, because otherwise he's just gonna fall off the flat and fall underneath the deep route and kind of provide that help over the top, because I'm staring at the receiver down the field and I'm not moving him with my eyes. Like, those are things that you hope that he just logs in the memory bank, and now the next time he sees that look and the next time he tries to make that throw, he makes it a little bit differently, and you don't have Christian Gonzalez in
Well, it'll be interesting. I think as an exercise, maybe we go back and look at his interceptions last year and see what happened on these plays.
Yeah.
And then see, like, if similar things happen in practice this year, like, did he learn from that?
Yeah.
I would say, like, the one that today that was tipped over the middle, like that one was a lot of what last year was, where tip balls
Bad
or like
ball
guys going off receivers' hands and going to defenders and like things like that. And when you hit a receiver in the hands, you want the receiver to catch the ball, but that doesn't always mean that it was a great throw. It could have been a little bit behind him, it could have been a little bit too high, things like that make differences when it's so fast and it happens so quickly at this level. So I would say a lot of them were that, and if you can just kind of cut down on those ones and you just live with sort of the gunslinger ones, which I think are always going to be there. That's just his playing style, is that he's always going to have some gunslinger turnovers.
Phil's in Coventry. What's up, Phil?
Hey, guys. How are we doing today?
Okay.
Hey, Phil.
Excellent. I got a couple of questions kind of off the beaten path about the referee crews. And, like, does the NFL grade them? And do we know which crews will be on what games ahead of time, like, now that we got the schedule?
Not that far
and
ahead.
The other thing is, do you guys have, like, a favorite crew?
Well, they do grade them for sure. And, in fact, you get your playoff assignment based on your regular season grade.
Yeah.
So there is a reward for having good grades. The problem is they get graded as crew and as individuals, but then did they stop it? Because what they would do in the playoffs is they'd break up the crews and they just use the individuals and then team them up with people they haven't been working with throughout the season. I don't think they should do that.
Yeah, they would form all-star crews.
Yeah,
they still do that.
I think they should grade the crew and keep them as a crew.
Yeah,
because you've worked together all season. Don't you want that? So, but I think they want to reward individuals, and so that's how they do it. But they do, in fact. I don't have a favorite crew.
I would also say, another big problem is for the league is that there's so much money in TV. And so these really good officials are retiring from officiating and getting hired by Fox or ESPN or whatever to be rules experts. And they make a lot more money probably doing that. And they don't have to, they have no pressure and
they don't get screamed at.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They have none of the fallback or, of being an official, but they do grade crews. They do hear a lot about, this crew, throws a lot more flags than the average, or there's a lot more holding calls when it's this referee group. And I do think the teams talk about that kind of stuff during the week.
I know Belichick used to school his team, because the other question was, how far in advance do you know the crews? You certainly know the week of what crew you're going to have for the game. So coaches do, like Belichick, school up their team. This crew is known for holding, like Evan said, or this crew lets you play, and test them until it proves it otherwise. Play that way until it proves otherwise in the game. Who was the crew this year? They would always have, I think, the Thursday night game or one of the, and they were known for the most penalties. And every week, sure enough, it was a flag fest. I forget which crew it was.
Yeah,
it's just not Hockley, is it? I know.
It was his son, Sean.
Yeah, I don't think it was Hockley's crew.
Sean Hockley calls a lot.
He does, but it was another guy. I
don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
Craig Rolstad. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of random ref names.
All of the names that I can come up off the top of my head are now all in TV. That's why I brought it up. Gene Steratore and like all those guys.
That's a good one.
What's that?
Cleat Bateman.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that sounds
Who's
right.
Terry McCauley? Who's that?
He's a rules expert now too.
Oh, he's a rule.
Yeah,
okay.
that's saying. Like they're all in the
Terry
booth
McLaurin,
now.
Terry McCauley.
Yeah. Dave's in Florida. What's up, David?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Hey.
Hey, so I had two things. The first thing I just want to touch on Jalen Polk a little bit. I'm not sure why people are so confident that he's going to be a roster lock this year, because I personally feel like Jalen Polk.
Okay.
Because I personally feel like anything that Polk excels at, we have another guy on the roster who does it better. And I feel like he's a little bit redundant, I guess. Just because he's a second-round pick, I don't feel like that should earn him a roster spot, especially considering a lot of the graphs that you see are actually expanded just to show how bad he was last year. I'm just not too confident in him.
Yeah.
Then,
well,
I had one more thing.
Excuse me.
This was just about Drake May. I was just wondering, I know it's only the first OTA or second OTA, but some of these things do matter. And at what point do you get concerned, or at what point do you consider, well, that was just the first day?
Yeah.
I'll take it off.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Well,
Gotta get into training camp.
Yeah, get into
a little.
training camp. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a teaching camp, I would say. So you got to give him a little bit of room to grow. I understand his feelings on Polk. I would disagree a little bit. I do think that he offers a little bit more than some of the other guys in terms of physicality, in terms of strong hands. But I don't think he's going to be gifted the roster spot. I think he's going to have to earn it. But I do think that there's enough of a gap in his skill set that he can contribute and can be a unique player within this wide receiver room. I still really like him. I mean, he was kind of still limited, I think, period on the, I think had elbow, or is it shoulder surgery? I think shoulder surgery this offseason. So he's still a little bit limited. But I haven't given up hope.
I mean, I would say if it was the same regime from last year, I'd say he'd be more of a lock.
Yeah, right.
Because, since it wasn't their pick or Vrabel's pick,
they don't owe him anything.
They don't own him. They don't, don't owe him, but he still is a second-round pick. And Elliott Wolf,
second-round pick.
Yeah, and Elliott Wolf is still here.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt until he,
I mean, we all watched somebody really productive last year in camp, and I know that didn't count for anything, and it was a slow burn once he, didn't get his back of his feet down and for that touchdown. It seemed from that point things devolved
unraveled.
For him. But I'm really excited to see him. What does it look like in camp this year? Does he come out and have another really productive camp? If that's the case, then I think that there's something there. You got to continue. But you're not wrong. If he looks in camp this year like he looked in the regular season last year, where he didn't really know where he was going, the route seemed choppy, just nothing was smooth.
Yeah.
Then maybe
I go back to what Elliott Wolf said. I think it was after the season, where they hoped for a little bit more development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was talking about the coaches.
Yeah.
And probably that wide receiver room.
Sure.
So I think that they're expecting guys like Polk will get better coaching this year and at least better direction, because that room was a mess last year.
Yeah,
it really was.
But he's not a lock. I don't think anybody's putting him down as a lock because he's what he did last year. He's going to have to prove that he's worthy of making the roster. I don't think we're gifting away any roster spots to anybody really.
I mean, Kyle Williams is a lock, and,
right? You know, the guys drafted this year. You know, obviously they're not cutting Christian Gonzalez, like but like I don't think that guys like Jalen Polk or Javon Baker or even Kendrick Bourne are locks. I mean, I'd say that they have Polk and Bourne have good chances to make the team, but I wouldn't say that they're locks.
Yeah, it was like last year when we went into it, and it was like Tyquan Thornton. I mean, it was felt like a similar log jam at wide receiver, and things have a way of working themselves out.
They sure do. Ronaldo's in Fall River. Hey, Ronaldo.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
I just have two questions. Do you think we should have drafted another quarterback like in the 7th round to increase the quarterback room competition? And do you blame Drake May's failure from last season on Gerard Mayo for his supporting cast, like offensive line and wide receiver? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I don't know. I think they brought in Josh Dobbs, and they've got the other young guy,
Woolridge.
Yeah,
Woolridge.
I don't know where you're looking for competition.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate it. Like, I would have been fine with spending a late round drop pick on a guy. Woolridge seems fine out there. He gets some opportunity reps, but there's just not a lot of competition. Like, you just want Drake to learn the offense.
You also got to remember that everything's new.
Yeah.
So rather than focusing on let's have competition, how about let's focus on developing Drake May and this offense?
Yeah.
Because McDaniels is here. It's all new. Yeah. So let's just get the guys here. Let's get Drake May going. We'll worry about competition next year when the offense has been settled and we've got a year under. Then we can light a fire on the Drake May if we need to do that.
That's sort of how I feel about it. It's like right now, like what's the point of the competition?
Right.
Yeah, he's the 3rd overall pick in his 2nd season, so it's his job to lose. So if you bring in a guy with competition, all that's doing is creating friction in the locker room, like in the quarterback room specifically. So I think that's a big reason why Joe Milton's not here, is because of all of that. So you look at
and plus because the time they need to spend with Drake this year, it'd be an unfair competition. You're not going to be giving this guy equal snaps.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah, hopefully we never get to this point, but year 4, year 5, if he's still not fully getting it, like that's when you start to look at, should we draft a quarterback here and maybe put somebody into this room that has some upside that we think could be a starter down the line. But now, I mean, it's Drake May's show. It's up to him.
I mean, and if people are worried that on this show we're going to in week 4 say, coddle Drake May and not call it like we see it, don't worry about that. I mean, if he has a bad game, we're going to say it. If a pick is his fault, we'll say it. But if a pick is because of receivers rounding out his routes or whatever, we'll say that too.
Yeah.
So we'll try to be fair from what we can tell, But
some of it is obvious. I mean, but this is the big thing for him. This is it, cutting down on turnovers, and that's why, as much as we can say today didn't mean anything, the one thing you need out of Drake May this year to cut out of the turnovers, it's not great to just have 4. That's the talking point. Unfortunately, that's what we got to talk about.
I mean, no, you never, like I said, you never want the quarterback to throw 4 picks. Like no matter what practice it is, whether it's August or it's May, you never want to go out there in the one practice we get to watch and he throws picks, 4 out of 10 reps, he's throwing picks. Like you don't want to see that.
I mean, if Trevion Henderson was out here dropping the ball or that wouldn't be good either. You just can't do that.
Yeah. The way I saw most of the interceptions were him thinking through things a little bit too slow, right? And just kind of trying to grasp this whole offense and this whole system. So that's why I'm not by any means panicked about it yet, because it's day 2. Like he hasn't been in this offense for very long. But I had some small C concerns about it to begin with before we even got here about McDaniels and all this. So it's not that it means nothing. It's notable.
Yeah, I mean, last year happened. Like you can't erase it. No. So I know that, the term blank slate gets used with a lot of people, including returning players. But what they did last year matters. So I would be surprised if Mike Vrabel and his staff haven't looked at every piece of tape from the players that were here last year and how they performed to see, okay, what's going to carry over, good and bad. What's the good stuff that we hope continues, and what's the bad stuff we want to eliminate. Get to know every one of these players from their tape in the pros.
Yeah, and that'll be the position group coaches that should know all their guys inside and out. And
I mean, last year, Alex Van Pelt got roundly criticized for not knowing that Marcus Jones played on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that they will know who's done what on this team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Some reaction from Forge and Foxborough. Some emails coming in.
Let's hear it.
Podcast@patriots.com. Tyler in OKC. Love the first episode. Mike Vrabel has me ready to run through a wall. But I was curious how much the budget went to the 12K camera you use for interviews. I didn't need to see everyone's individual pores and hair follicles. I do notice that with 4K.
Too good?
Like, even on my TV at home.
Yeah.
You can see everything, man. Like, makeup has become even more important these days, I think.
Yeah.
Anthony in Seattle watched it on Friday and again on Saturday. I didn't plan to watch it twice, but man, it was good. I was already excited when we hired Vrabel, but now I feel like I wasn't excited enough. Side note, our washing machine broke.
Oh, here we go.
So my wife and I went shopping. First Alliance store. I walked in, and what did you see? You guessed it, Speed Queen. I burst out laughing immediately and knew I had to tell you guys. I understand now why people have been calling and emailing in to tell you things like this, because PFW/PU is like a little community, and you'll be just going through life, and something from the show will come up, and you'll think, I got to tell the PU friends about this.
Love it.
That's the idea. You get it, Anthony.
I love it.
That's why we do what we do. That's why we do the newsletter. So we create this community.
So did he buy the Speed Queen? Is that right?
Yeah,
He saw it and laughed.
What did you go with?
On red.
That's the one Fred
What did you
wanted us
go
to
with,
get.
right?
No. Getting a
Yep.
Whirlpool or whatever.
Chad in Atlanta, bravo. The best Pats documentary since the last 3 games of glory. Can't wait for the next episode. Thanks for creating it. Now a question. How many of the 11 draft picks do you see being immediate impact players? I say at least 6, which is an outstanding draft in my opinion. Campbell, Henderson, Williams, Swinson, Morales, Ashby.
Well, no offense, but if we're going to give the kicker and long snapper as contributors, then yes, I agree they'll be contributors.
Well, I would hope so, but like, what if they're not? That's a waste of it. So, like,
but they
that
only
counts.
have one long snapper on the roster currently, so Ashby's definitely going to play. But I hear what he's saying. I think look, those top 3 guys, and we saw Travion Henderson. We didn't get to see him at rookie minicamp. He wasn't out there, so this was the first time, and you see just explosive, compact build. Like, I wouldn't say he's not Derrick Henry, right? He's not a massive player, but he's compact. Like, you can see like how he's got a sturdy frame to him. He's got good speed, and you can tell that. So I was excited about what I saw from him and Kyle Williams. Like, these are the types of camps where those 2 guys should shine. This is a speed camp. Like, this is all about passing and space and guys that are fast and have good quickness and all that kind of stuff. So you see Kyle Williams flash. You see Efton Chisholm flash just because he can get open, right? He's quick and agile. So I thought Travion Henderson looked the part. I was excited about what I saw.
Going back to Forge and Foxborough, it's interesting because one of Paul's guys yesterday was saying, in the documentary, you saw that they could have got a lot of picks if they had chosen to trade down when it was Henderson's pick, but they chose to take him, and I don't know about that. Well, how many years have we criticized them for not sticking and taking the guy? And so finally they do that when they had a decent, trade on the table, and they picked Henderson. Hopefully that's a good thing.
The more you hear about Henderson and what people around the league thought of Henderson, the more excited you get about him as a player. This is not only an explosive player, big play type of running back, but also a really complete running back coming out of college. Can catch passes, can pass protect, can run. He can do it all. And a lot of people thought that he was the second best running back in the class behind Genty, and really were extremely high on him. So I'm with you, Fred. I'm glad that they just stood there and took Henderson.
Yeah.
I think they needed that kind of dynamic playmaking ability.
Christian with Chris with a TIAN writes in, echoing the love and appreciation Forge and Foxborough is receiving. Really enjoyed it. The draft room, we got our guys stuff in particular was good. Look forward to more behind-the-scenes stuff. It's been a long time since I felt this level of excitement and anxious anticipation in such a positive way as we head into a new season.
I feel that just being out there is like a little taste of training camp.
I think they feel it too. I mean, we talked to Morgan Moses about that a little bit, and he's like, yeah, we've actually had multiple times where Vrabel's had to been like pull us back in because we're going too hard for this time of year because everybody's so anxious and so excited about this team and what they've put together. But the one thing from Forge and Foxborough from the draft room that I thought was really cool was I think it was Ryan Cowden who said to Elliott, or maybe it was Vrabel, well, do we go running back and then receiver, or do we go receiver then running back? And I just couldn't help but laugh because, like, how many times did we have those conversations? When we're doing our
They're
stupid
just like us,
mock
stars.
drafts, right, and stuff like that, because it's exactly the same. But like it was really cool to see. Okay, yeah, like that's how they're thinking too. Is like, do we how if we wait on the receiver, are we going to get our guy or are we not? And it ended up being Kyle Williams and Henderson, which I think is what they were kind of hoping for. So it's exciting.
David Main, when Mayo was fired at the end of the season, initially I was relieved. However, my second reaction was, damn, no Hard Knocks this year. But Forge and Foxborough was even better than Hard Knocks. Great work by all involved. 2 questions. How many episodes are you doing? We're definitely going to do a second episode. It'll be coming out. I don't want to give out when yet, but there'll definitely be at least another episode, and we hope more. As long as Mike Vrabel and staff allow us access, we'll keep pumping out the content. So, hopefully we're doing it right up through January.
I mean, hopefully we're doing one behind the scenes of joint practices with the Commanders here and going to Minnesota.
Yeah, that was another good note.
Big little nuggets there that Vrabel revealed. But that to me is the best stuff, the behind the scenes of, like, this is all teaching and slow paced in the off season, which I like. I think doing this job as I have now, you go from that in season mode to then, all right, now I get to watch some prospects. And next week we get to watch an OTA practice. And it's a little slower, but once the training camp starts and things start happening, injuries and competition, and that's when it gets really serious. I think those episodes, if we're able to do them, will be amazing.
Jeff in Canada really enjoyed it. He says, I'd like to get it on record early that we have no clue if Drake May is a franchise quarterback yet. It's still completely undetermined. However, the media, team, and most fans have declared it, and I worry that is undue pressure.
I think that's unfair. I do. I don't think a lot of people, maybe fans, but fans are allowed to be excited, and that's what fandom's all about, right? You're defending your guy, you're excited about your guy. I don't feel like on this show we've crowned him yet as the franchise quarterback.
Well, I don't think so either, but remember, he was the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Like, he better be.
Yeah.
Right?
It's going to be disappointing if he's not.
I mean, yes. Is that pressure? It absolutely is, and it's pressure that he's going to have to bear. But we're all counting on him to be the franchise quarterback. This isn't a 5th-round pick that we're hoping. This was the 3rd overall pick, and many people thought he was, coming out was as good as Jaden Daniels. So, I mean...
Well, I mean, even look at, I just... For me, I want to see it happen and not stuff it into a box and make a moment from last season that wasn't all that great as that's when I knew. You want to let Drake earn that moment. And let's see what Paul is in here as he could talk about Bledsoe. But I'm just remembering, him going toe to toe with the Vikings at the end of his 2nd season, opening against Miami in his 3rd season, where they didn't even make the playoffs. So. It wasn't just he made that big game and now he's there and now he's awesome, and that it's a bumpy road.
I'll tell you what's going to put the most pressure on Drake May this year. It's Jaden Daniels. It's what he did coming out his first year to absolutely flip the Commanders' season from one to another, from being where we were to then playoff teams. That's. Now the Commanders did it.
Yeah, and a lot of people look at the Patriots offseason this season and compare it to similar things that the Commanders did last year.
Yeah.
You're also going to get Jaden Daniels right here in the building in the 2nd week of August. So, that'll spur some talk as well.
But the Bledsoe, bringing up Bledsoe, I think is good because fans like me
first overall pick.
that are on the younger side of things, we know Tom Brady. And no one's ever going to be Tom Brady again, right? We all can
no expectations
easily
came out of
say
nowhere,
that, and just no one's going to be as good as him ever. Yeah. And so the one quarterback that I really know as the starting quarterback of the Patriots is Brady, but the more realistic path for Drake May in terms of ceiling and stuff like that is probably more closer to Bledsoe, right?
Yeah.
Who was a good quarterback, but wasn't the greatest quarterback of all time. And I think that somewhere in those expectations, we have to find a middle ground. Like Drake May could be a really good quarterback for 5 to 10 years, like Drew Bledsoe was, but that doesn't make him, he's not going to be Tom Brady, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping for. Can he, franchise quarterback gets thrown around a lot. Like I just want him to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots for a long time and have us not question who the quarterback is. Does that mean he's a franchise quarterback or an elite quarterback? I don't know, but like I think there's a lot of guys that are like that. Like I would say, Justin Herbert is a franchise quarterback. The Chargers haven't won anything yet.
Right.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, Fred's guy, I think is a really good quarterback.
Yeah,
they haven't won anything.
Right.
So that's how the career goes for a lot of dudes that can play, that are really good. Josh Allen's really good. He still hasn't won anything. So like, it might not be.
Yeah, I mean it's
all that.
But I think after I don't know how many years has Allen been in the league? 6 years now.
Yeah, it's a while now.
So I think after 6 years, if we have done what the Bills have done, we'd be like, okay, we did get our guy.
Yeah,
we just have to.
Now we got to get over the hump and figure out what the right buttons to push.
But that's like the ceiling. Like that's it working out.
Yeah.
As much as it possibly could. Like Josh Allen's the MVP of the league.
Right.
So like that's the ceiling, and he still hasn't won a Super Bowl. So, like, Lamar Jackson still hasn't won a Super Bowl. So I just think that there's, we have to also adjust our expectations of what Drake May being the franchise quarterback really is going to look like.
I hear what you're saying. I love having some continuity with the quarterback be great. I'd also love some continuity with the scheme.
Yeah.
Now here we are in whatever since Josh left. And I'm getting tired of blaming it on the scheme. He's learning the scheme. How's the scheme different? All the questions are about the scheme. Like today I was ready to just ask Hunter Henry and be like, look, you've been in the NFL a long time. You played here a bunch of different. Does it matter? Does it really matter? Like I know it's hard and you got to learn it and all that, but like we put the whole world on like the scheme change. And I wonder in their heart of heart, like, I mean, I played hockey completely different, but just, like we played zone or man, it didn't really matter. So I know those sports aren't different and those are completely, probably not a great metaphor to make, but still, it's like as a player, you're like, you guys spend so much time talking about this, and it's like, yeah, we have to learn it, but...
No, I know it sounds simple, but if you got a good offensive line, the scheme becomes easy.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean,
you can execute
players,
you can execute it,
Yeah.
If you can't execute the scheme, it doesn't matter what the scheme is.
I'm just worried about the pressure on the quarterback in this particular offense.
Sure.
And at what point do maybe they take a little bit off of his plate and maybe they put it on Bradbury or veteran center in the league that started a lot of games or something like that, because again, it's one day, but this is what I was a little bit concerned about, that it would look like early on, that there would be what looked like, Pop Douglas said after practice, the first one of the first picks he threw to Gonzalez, the first one, they rotated the coverage. They rolled the coverage. Mm-hmm. And so Gonzalez started deep, and then he rotated into the flat, and Drake didn't see him coming down in the flat, and Gonzalez jumped the route. Like those types of things to me is just like mental. Like you're looking through I got to set the mic point, and I got to move the protection, and now I got to make sure this guy's in the right place, and it's all of the maestro stuff at the line of scrimmage, and I don't know if that's him. Like I don't know yet if Drake May is that kind of quarterback. Like he might be more of like, let's just snap the ball and I'm just gonna play, right? Because he's so physically talented that might be more of how he's programmed and how he's wired, is just to go out there and play ball. Whereas this scheme can be very, very intricate. And if I had anything to be like come away from this practice, it's not that he threw 4 picks or anything like that. It's like, how are we going to evolve from that, the McDaniels Brady offense, to now it's with Drake May, and it's a different kind of quarterback. Like he's a different type of player,
playing to his strengths.
And how are they going to find that happy medium?
Well, it's not going to be easy, but you know what is easy?
I do.
Bud Light.
Sure
it's
is.
easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. And then one more, and we'll take a break. Dreaming of next season? Well, we sure are. Revamp your sleep routine before kickoff with a luxurious and affordable mattress from Bob's Discount Furniture. When you team up Bob's everyday low prices with premium features like the Envy's hand-tufted Tencel knit cover, naturally breathable silk, and wool fibers in heavenly hybrid construction, you're in for a sleep win. Or try one of Bob's Consumer Reports recommended picks like the Treasure or Copper Radiance. Get winning sleep at Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. We'll take a break. More calls in your emails after this. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
Just curious about your early impressions of Drake May and how he's been adapting to, learning a new system.
Well, I think everybody's worked extremely hard, including Drake, to pick up what we want to do offensively and defensively, and now that has to start to translate onto the practice field in a spring setting without pads. And I think that we're off to a good start. I think we had a positive day. We're able to mix some speed stuff in and some competitive stuff to a point. Kept guys off the ground, got a bunch of looks and a bunch of reps. So I think we're off to a good start, and Drake's a part of that.
As part of this stage, Mike, what are the things that you look for from your players to get better as they go about this stage of the process?
I think that's probably an interesting question. Just a dynamic through the spring is, the offensive line. I think you can maybe evaluate some pass protection or somewhat footwork, but it's hard to evaluate the run game. Defensive line, it's a difficult time of year for them. They're wired a certain way, and they want to do things that affect the quarterback and create a new line of scrimmage, and you have to pull them back to a sense. This is a passing camp. This is a non-contact camp and time of year, but I think the receivers and the DBs can certainly look to mirror and shadow and react and still go make plays on the football and try to stay up. It's hard to, maybe the running backs you can evaluate, are they picking up the right person in protection? Not necessarily sure if they're going to be able to block them, but are they getting the right guy? Quarterback's operation, the urgency in which we practice are things that are important. Our tempo, the way that we finish plays, our effort, and continue to build the identity. Are we taking care of the football when we're running with it in the open field, things like that.
When you mentioned not wanting to take guys to the ground, how do you balance?
Well, it's not that I would love to take guys to the ground. That's okay. I'm joking, but these are the rules that everybody's just come to live by in the National Football League, and that's great. It's just explaining to the players what it is that we have to do and what we have to try to get accomplished. So go ahead and finish your question.
But how do you accomplish the physicality that you want at this stage while still making sure that
I don't think that you can. I don't. I think that you could focus on pad level, you could focus on hand placement, but that physicality is not something that's going to be identified over the course of the next 4 weeks.
With the understanding that this is obviously a non-contact camp, and we're talking about not being able to get a good sense of where maybe running backs are from a physical standpoint, can you just talk about where maybe Ramondre is at this stage? I know he's going through a personal thing, but maybe the overall value that he has to this franchise.
Oh, we're extremely excited to have him with us. Have been in constant communication with him, and obviously our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family as they heal and they grieve, and want to be a part of that to help them and get to know them. And had met him early on, and then he went back, and now those conversations have just been over the telephone. So when you start to evaluate just the season and you watch the effort and that he played with when he didn't have the football, he played extremely fast without the football. His ability to step up and protect is taking care of a teammate, is protecting the guy with the ball. He did that on numerous occasions. You always saw him downfield when he didn't have the ball. So he's going to be a large part of what we do, and it'll just have to determine where he's at when he's back here.
What constitutes a good day for you at OTAs? Like, what would make you happy at the end of today? Again, I'm going to set myself up for failure because you're going to look and read off every single one I say here. That we're in and out of the huddle, that there's clean substitution, that there's communication. You hear the defense making checks when somebody on the offense moves or motions. There's coordination, and that the offense is moving with urgency, and that the play clock isn't sitting at 0 for 4 seconds. And all the operational things. And then obviously there's got to be a level of execution when we're in the speed, and then when we get to the jog through, can we practice at a tempo that's less than 100% and still get something out of it?
Mike, when does the competition truly start from a positional standpoint and for guys trying to earn spots?
Well, I think that it already has. I hope that it already has. Life's a competition. Everything we do every day, we're trying to improve, and we're trying to do better than the next person. But whether that's a competitiveness to know what to do, to be able to play more than one position, to go extra reps when somebody's down, to take advantage of opportunities. Young guys, popping in there, third group, they do a nice job, then they get elevated, they get some reps with the twos and see how they do with those opportunities. So I think that there's always a level of competition to what we do. It just may not be as physical as what it would be in training camp.
Mike, related to that question, how much evaluation is going on for the coaching staff right now versus the installation of the teaching that obviously you're doing this spring?
Well, there's certain things you have to maybe change the way that you evaluate. Do they know their assignment? Can they adjust? Do they make the same mistake over and over? Then there's a level of physical ability that we have to be able to evaluate. So I would say that there's still an evaluation, even though we don't have pads on.
There's been a lot of talk about the culture you're building and all that. Just from early days of the team kind of all being together, what are you noticing just from them all coming together?
I think there's an excitement, there's an energy. I think there's a willingness of players that walk in and want to improve and want to get to know the new players and the ones that they're familiar with from last year, and the coaches and everything else. So we're just constantly trying to build that each and every day.
We know that Stephon Diggs has been dealing with last year's injury. Anyone else that we shouldn't expect to see based on coming back from something from last year?
There'll be a group of guys that will be modified today or won't be doing stuff. So, it's a long list. I'm not going to go through it, but there'll be a few guys. They'll be doing some individual. They'll be doing some return to play. May do some jog through stuff at the end.
Mike, I know that. Mike, how would you describe the jump for running back and pass protection from the college game to the NFL, and how important are these practices for Travion in particular as a young back?
Well, these are mental reps. These are seeing things at speed until it's full speed to contact is really what we say. So we want the blitzer to go as fast as he would and disguise the way he would and try to time it up the way that he would. And then once he gets to the player that's blocking him, that we're going to ask them to stop and then be ready to go and sprint out of the stack and get his finish his play that way. So they're good because there's disguises, there's moving parts, there's other bodies. It's not just a walk-through pace. So I think the tempo is going to allow him to identify the right person to protect and to block. And then we'll see you in training camp if physically they'll be able to do it, which by all accounts I think that they will.
Mike, I know fans get excited about it. When the NFL schedule comes out, how do you look at that as a head coach?
I just make sure that we've got 17 games. 9 of them are at home this year and 8 of them are on the road. And then we go from there. We're so far from looking at opponents right now at this point in the game. We're just really trying to focus on ourselves, which, individual improvement
continue to build the identity that we try to talk about, and that's where my focus is today.
Have you guys finalized the joint practices yet with the Commanders and Vikings?
Yep, I think that for sure that the Washington Commanders will come here and then they'll play us, and then we are excited to go to Minnesota. It's a good setup that they have, allows for great work. Kevin's got the Vikings have an excellent football team and have worked with them before, so excited to go back up there.
Mike, do you see the young player need to see the field consistently or first-team reps consistently to become an effective leader in your locker room?
No, I think that any player that comes here with a great attitude, that knows what to do, and plays a style and with the demeanor that we expect, that does things the right way, that makes great decisions, will have an ability to lead someone or have some sort of leadership qualities, whether that's with the third group, with the second group, or with the first group. But I don't think that a young player has to be on a starting unit to be considered somewhat of a leader.
We tend to kind of overanalyze the lineups at times. We tend to overanalyze lineups at this point in the season.
That's fair.
What's your philosophy when it comes to the depth chart? Is it veterans and then young guys earn it, or?
It's just kind of what we put together, and somebody's got to go with 11. It's going to be very fluid. You'll see that a lot of people are getting a lot of different reps and a lot of different groupings, and wide receivers will rotate out of there, and some linemen will play a position, and then we'll see if they can move over and play another position. So, again, you have a job to do. We have a job to do. We're going to try to move guys around and put 11 out there every play.
Milton Williams told us a story about how he enjoyed getting called out by you.
That's first of all, that's not being called out by me.
Well, what was your?
That was just an encouragement. No, it was. If you have the ability to do something, I think you should try to maximize that ability. And I think it sends a great message to the team. We're going to need our best players to play good every week for us to win, and that's just another example of the leadership. And when one guy runs fast, some other guys tend to run fast, and then the next, the more and more you see, you got a bunch of guys trying to push each other and compete, and that's what we're trying to do.
With the wide receiver room specifically, what are you looking for? Because it's a very full room at the moment. What are you looking for specifically with them in these early days?
Well, I think that when you say things like it's a full room, I would say that 31 other teams, that's okay, but 31 other teams are going to have 11 or 12 wide receivers at this point in time. So everybody's room is full. There's 11 or 12. I would say that the players that aren't available need to make sure that they're doing everything they can to stay up mentally and continue to work hard to get back. The young players that are coming onto this roster have to earn a role, and the ones that are returning have a clean slate to go and compete, and whether that's a carryover position from last year or a new position. So we're very early on in the process, but we need that group to compete and have a willingness to go out there and help the quarterback through this spring process. Thank you.
And now, great moments in history.
I miss Giardi's smell. That's one of the things I
What?
miss about 2020.
Wow. Wait, yeah.
Giardi smells really good. Paul, back me up on this.
What are you, a dog?
He smells wonderful.
You go around sniffing people?
Thank you, Paul.
He
Soundbite, Matt.
smells like a fresh summer day.
Tomorrow's show opening unfolding right before our eyes here.
He smells great. I miss it.
Okay.
It is what it is.
You know?
What was his cologne of choice? Do you know? You ever
I
ask?
don't know.
I think
By
he
I
smells so
don't
good.
think it's
He's
necessarily cologne. It's like product.
He's just like, if I told you, I'd have
Yeah.
to kill you, because everyone knows how good he smells.
Yeah.
I don't miss
Like-
Giardi as much as I miss the smell of Giardi.
Oh, to Giardi.
Yeah, we could bottle that. Giardi.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. Podcast at patriots.com is the way to email us. 855-PATS-500 is the way to call us. Dan in Virginia and Michigan emails. He says, I'm not too worried about May having some issues on the second day of OTAs. Didn't the defense always have an edge early in the offseason, even when Brady was here?
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Mike Giardi, this according to Dan, he's apparently running a school for sports journalism. Did you know this? Is this like Trump school? No?
I didn't know that.
Giardi
I know
States.
Chris Cotillo does it, the Red Sox beat writer. He does one.
So is it an online thing that you sign up
It's
for?
a seminar. It's like a webinar, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't have to do it.
Oh, okay.
But I
He says-
a degree. You
went to
paid for a
journalism
degree.
school. But
Do you know if his
probably do
course includes the correct pronunciation of a slip disc and how to be the best smelling man in New England sports journalism, at least according to Megan O'Brien, which we just heard.
That's fair.
So
Megan O'Brien had some takes. You know.
Bulging dick in his disc in his back.
Can't play that.
But so he's running a school for journalism.
I don't know. I'm
That's
surprised Paul didn't sign me up for it.
Yeah.
So is it actually accredited? Like, do you get? Do you get? No.
I don't know. The
Or is it
I
like
don't
an
know.
Adobe class?
No, it's I don't know. Maybe it's part of just the University of Giardi. He's starting a college.
But yeah, I think Chris does one, like I said, and I know that he like sometimes has guest like speakers, you know, that are people that are currently working on beats and stuff like that, and I think people get a lot out of it. You know, so
Oh, I'm gonna have to
cool.
make fun of him when I see him.
You sign
Giardi University.
So,
Yeah.
GU.
anything
Yeah.
to make some money.
Maybe they can have graduation on the field here, like Bridgewater State.
Right.
You know?
Right. Bill wasn't here last week for that, was he?
No, but I was wondering if she was the commencement speaker, but I guess not. Josh writes in, overall, the production of Forge and Foxborough was awesome. Really loved it. That said, the draft room scenes weren't quite what I expected. It came across like the entire operation flowed strictly through Vrabel, Wolf, and Cowden. I was surprised at how little process or structure was shown behind the decisions. I figured there'd be more automation or system-driven strategy involved rather than Elliott just going beep boop. I like this trade offer. Okay.
Well, I think that they're kind of the guys making the decision. I understand the stuff he wants of the breaking down the prospects and that kind of stuff, but that to me was one of the interesting takeaways that I thought maybe they'd talk on Paul's shows about. It's just the dynamic between Cowden and Wolf and Vrabel, and you see how they discuss certain ideas and picks, and you see how that relationship between those three guys is developing. That was a really interesting part of it to me.
Also, there were like 40 people in the room with laptops, but none seemed actively involved. Cam Williams' only moment was basically, yo, this is NEP, here's Elliott. I think there was room to show more of the decision-making process without revealing too much of how the sausage gets made, just enough to give fans a sense of the complexity behind the scenes. Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough, what he's saying, but all that work is done before draft day.
Yeah.
I mean, like they say, the hay's in the barn once the draft comes. And one thing you didn't see is the boards around the room, because that's where some of the detail is, where your board is stacked, and you can see, okay, who's left, how of those people that are left, who are the guys that you like. So we didn't get to see all of that in the stuff leading up to the draft, where scouts are really, making the case for their guys.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure must happen.
Yeah. I thought maybe a little constructive criticism for the now Denver Broncos Cam Williams, but I thought like his phone cadence was off. Like these draft picks are dying to get the bat phone to ring, right? Like they all have the special phone, and they'd be like, "Hello," and he'd be like, "Hello, yeah. Hey, how are you, Kyle? How are you?" The guy's like dying to know what team is calling him. Like, and he's like, "It's Cam Williams from the Patriots." I'm like, there you go. Like, you got to get right into it. You got to be like, "Cam, it's the Patriots. We're taking you. Here's Elliott Wolf. Like, get right into it."
Well, like Elliott's first words to Will Campbell, "What'd you have for dinner last night?"
I know. Like the kid is like, like about to combust. They're so stressed
He
out and
literally
waiting.
was crying.
I know.
On
Hey,
stage.
how are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
Nothing? No, we're just sitting here. We drafted you, by the way.
Ready to go.
Yeah, you ready to go?
Did you mention from today that Will Campbell and Morgan Moses?
Yeah.
Those two are in
Everyone
the
was
lab.
just watching that.
When he told me that, I said, I need a moment.
Yeah,
I need a
Morgan
moment.
Moses was holding court after practice it started just with him and Will Campbell. And Will Campbell's like
more people came over?
Yeah, Will Campbell's like in his pass set. Morgan Moses is acting like the pass rusher, and Campbell's like talking through things. And then Caden Wallace came over, and Caden Wallace just standing there watching Morgan Moses, listening.
Oh, I love it.
And then Marcus Bryant, their 7th round pick at tackle, he starts to come over, and then all of them are kind of like
tackles.
Morgan Moses is like
He's feeding the masses with 2 loaves of bread and a fish.
He's parting the Red Sea.
Right.
Yeah, he's like throwing his long arm and he's trying to teach him and he's doing this. And Trey Jacobs was over there for a minute. And but him and Will Campbell were out there for a solid 10, 15 minutes after practice, going through drill, going through the motions of, pass protection and things like that. But we talked to Morgan Moses about it afterwards, and he's like, I know my role. Like that's a big part of why I'm still in the league and why I'm here.
He's already paid for himself. That one session.
Yeah, no.
I totally believe it.
Did we happen to have any cameras there?
Oh yeah, no. I saw Cassidy. she wasn't getting in there, but she.
You think we had sound? Maybe.
I don't know.
We got to get that approved.
I don't know about sound.
We saw. We had Adler was taking pictures of it. I know that. Yeah. I didn't. I'm sure we have video of it.
I saw Cassidy shooting it, but
We have the clip, it just needs approval.
Ooh,
okay,
baby.
All right. Well,
I was so impressed with Morgan Moses when he came in here and sat with us.
That's why I'm excited.
I know, and then
because we know the potential.
He's
a leader.
He's saying what needs to be said, and has so much experience, and every word that guy says, I was hanging on it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tell me more, Morgan.
Yeah.
Will you be my dad?
And he talked about, he played with Trent Williams. He played with Tyron Smith last year with the Jets. So he's like, look, I've seen left tackles. I've seen it at the highest of levels. It was cool.
It is like, Fred, to your excitement, like we've been so desperate for tackles, and then to see like an experienced NFL tackle gathering around the kids and be like, here's how it's done, children.
Yeah.
Literally. I wouldn't. It's not Yoda because he's so big. So it's like that, but it's like that
big Yoda.
But it's that type of wisdom, that sage wisdom.
It's kind of Gandalf, maybe if Gandalf was a little thicker.
Right.
Do or do not.
Yes.
Trim beard, perhaps.
There is no try.
Yeah.
T's in Virginia. What's up, T?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Hey.
T.
I've got some real quick, and then I'll pick it off there. I'm not sure if you touched on it yet, but what's your thoughts on Detroit's proposal to change the playoff format, and do you think it'll get voted in by the league?
I like it. Let's go.
So clarify. There's no reseeding. Is that correct?
No.
How would it go? I didn't get the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, they reseed.
They would reseed.
The second round, I believe.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be the top 4 divisions.
No, so you'd still make the playoffs by winning your division, but it would be seeded by the records, not by.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So there's no guarantee of a home playoff win if you win your division.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you want the best teams to have the advantage, teams that earn it, not just because you happen to be in the AFC South and you won this year and you were 7-10 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Lions in Minnesota last year are the reason why this is happening, and I get it. I mean, the one thing I would say is it's still kind of cool that division football matters in the NFL because all the other leagues. I mean, I guess hockey it kind of matters again now, like with the different sub conferences that they have, but I don't want it to become basketball where there's no divisions, right? I like
so you like the rivalry.
I like the rivalries. I like that you play everybody twice a year. I think that is still good and has value. And if you're going to make the schedule, more importantly, if the schedule is going to be structured this way, then winning the division has to mean something. You can't play everybody within your division twice a year and then you're throwing out anything with the division, right? If you're going to structure the schedule, otherwise you have to go to a rolling schedule where you pay everybody, equally, or you rotate. You know,
Ooh, a lot of travel.
Yeah.
But they are, I guess that was brought up the last owners meeting. They tabled it. They're going to hopefully vote on it this one. They're also going to vote on eliminating assisting another player.
The tush push.
The tush push, otherwise known as
end arounding the push up. Is that how they're trying to get it?
It's going back. The rule proposal would go back to the way the rule was previously written up until 2005, I think, where you
can't assist another player.
You can't push or pull another player.
Right. And then there was one other. There's a lot of things, but there was one other one that was. There were 3 things that were kind of notable.
The other big one was the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, allowing these guys to play flag football in the Olympics.
In 28
yeah.
Summer Olympics.
Can you indulge me for a second?
Oh, sure.
So I understand the whole push for flag football with the league. It's a good way to get kids that don't necessarily want to play tackle get involved in a game that involves a football. But it is a false it's inaccurate to say that by playing flag football you're learning football. It's not football. It's a totally different game. Like I said, the fact that you have a line of scrimmage and a football, it's not football. And I don't think the numbers suggest that there is like a gateway from flag football to tackle football. And the league needs to address the fact that participation in tackle football is going down. Flag football is not the way to do it. It's to show the benefits of tackle football, like how it's helped young men. And, you know, I do this coaches clinic every year, and, you know, they give awards to kids. And, you know, some of these kids, like, you look at them, they don't look like football players. But what they learn from being on a football team is going to help them in life.
Yeah.
And football is one, you know, like, I know you'll stick up for hockey, but the nature of a football team with all the varied positions and types of players that you need, sizes and shapes and everything, there is a role for everybody on a football team. And it's a hard sport. Like, and you learn a lot from football. And I think the league needs to start promoting that at the youth level. Like, you get this from playing tackle football. And I know the whole health thing, but tackle football is more safe than it ever has been, you know, because of all the rules changes and helmets and all that stuff. Start promoting what the good stuff about tackle football instead of falling back to flag football. That's not going to help participation in tackle football, and that's desperately needed because the talent pool is dwindling. And international might help a little 20 years from now. It's not going to help 10 years from now. We got to get more kids playing tackle football, and flag football is not the way to do it. That's just my soapbox. I'm stepping off right now.
I feel like you're stepping up in defense of kids kind of like me when I was a kid, the fat kids.
Right.
Because there's always sports that you can run fast. You want to play flag football, right? You're good. But like you, I mean, that's what I love about football that makes it unique. Like you said, there's all different body types required. And everyone can have a place.
Most places, it's a no-cut sport in high school. You come out, you're on the team, we'll find something for you to do.
Yeah.
We'll find something for you to do, and you'll be part of this team. And if you stick with it, you're going to learn a lot. And, you know, some of these, these coaches, they're great people, and they're doing it after work. They're volunteering, and, I don't want to diminish all the other sports, but there's just something more to football. The planning of it, the coaching that's required, the different coaches that you need. I think it's the best team sport ever created.
Me too. I mean, it's got everything. There's grace, there's violence, there's, I think it not to get like philosophical, but it embodies the human experience. And I mean, I think so many kids who play high school football, or really any sport, but I mean specifically football because it is a little bit harder. Those lessons you learn from the challenges, it's so important. I mean, and being able to play through injuries and to, I'm going through it now with my kids, and they're playing high school sports, and learning about getting, not getting enough playing time, or thinking that you should have something that you don't. And I mean, I think all those things are great for sports, but there is something unique about football.
Sure, and look, listen, my kid wouldn't have gone to college had it not been for lacrosse. But I remember when he went out for Pop Warner, and I remember those first couple practices in the summer, and he came back and said, I don't know if I want to do this. And I sat him down and I said, you don't have to, but if you stick with this, you're going to see what it can do for you. And he did, and he did, and he was glad he did. There's just a structure to football that for a lot of kids, they need that structure. And there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of young boys that this sport has helped. And the league needs to do a better job getting that out there. And whether it's creating a network of people that parents can talk to when they're trying to decide to let their kids play tackle football, not just coaches, but like former NFL alumni that live in your area. Have a network of people that they can talk to, go to the schools, talk about the benefits of football. And we need to do a better job in the NFL going on offense for football.
I think I don't want a hard dose of truth for the NFL, because I agree with you in the fact that, do we really think that flag is going to become a feeder system for tackle football?
It's not.
Maybe for a couple kids who can run and play receiver and avoid getting hit for a couple years, and then they get in and all right. Now, but the rest of the game is entirely different. And I mean, just experience my son, who, by the way, had 5 touchdowns in flag football this week.
Humble brag.
But went into lacrosse, and now it's like gets his bell rung, and you realize there's a completely different world of flag football and tackle football. I mean, there's just non-contact sports and contact sports in general.
Right.
But there's no way to simulate what real football is with football.
I do think it has helped, though, like the passing game sophistication and
7-on-7
and how like
but is that like
talented.
off-field 7-on-7 camps, or is that specifically flag football?
I think it's probably both, but the receivers that are coming into the league specifically, their level of skill is so much higher. I think. I mean, every single
Everybody
year,
says it,
the talent pool at wide receiver is just off the charts, and I think a lot of that does have to do with the fact that they are playing year round, even if it's not tackle football. Just learning, how to catch, learning how to run routes, learning, how to in the open field, how to avoid people in the open field. Like I hear what you're saying in terms of it not being the same, because it's not, but we have seen quarterbacks get better, receivers get better. As a result,
because they're playing, like you said, they're doing it year round.
Right. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like the talent in the draft at wide receiver every single year is just it's incredible.
But keep it going. Like, we can't find tackles anymore. Is
Yeah.
that part of it?
And listen, participation's going down. That's a fact. So we need to reverse that.
Yep.
We need to reverse it.
I mean, I said lacrosse when I was in California. Lacrosse was eating into football too. Like
Oh,
in
really?
California.
Yeah.
That was almost 10 years ago now. But it's
a good sport too.
All right, let's get back to your calls on the hotline 855-PATS-500. Todd's in North Carolina. What's up, Todd?
Not much. Thanks for asking. I've got one question, but before I ask it, I just want to say sports in Foxborough, simply amazing.
Thank you.
And your energy today is great.
Oh, well, listen, our first day of OTA, so we're ready to go.
Plus, Paul's not here to rain on our parade.
Yeah, Paul is grumpy.
They were okay.
This is up Deuce's alley, because I was listening to Cattle's show, and he says that the secret weapon on defense is going to be Keon White. Now, I want to know if you guys have a favorite or a secret weapon for this upcoming year, and if it's not Keon White, who is it? Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks.
It's a good question. Keon White involved today. I mean, you can see what they kind of have planned for him. I don't know if it's my secret weapon, but I think my crush this year is going to be Robert Spillane for sure.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. Some speed at the linebacker position.
I mean, I just saw him run out of the tunnel today, and like we've seen him. We had him on. Oh no, we didn't get him on the show. We met him and talked to him.
Yeah, we need him though.
But all of a sudden, the helmet comes on, the shield. He just like sprints onto the field faster than anyone I've ever seen. I mean, just a high energy guy at my favorite position, linebacker. And no, I'm excited. That's
positive energy.
I don't know if he's a secret weapon, but I
don't know if Keon White's. I would more call him an X factor. Like if Keon White realizes his potential and evolves into another stud with Barmore and Milton Williams on the defensive line. Now you really got something brewing.
Watch out.
But it could also go the other way.
Yeah.
And he could just be this for the rest. A good, not great player for the rest of his career. So
he looks the part. I mean, you stand him next to Barmore, Milton Williams, and Harold Landry, and Chase on those guys that they're playing along the line of scrimmage. I mean, they look like they got a legit front group right now.
I mean, there's a lot of moving parts on offense, but first rep of team drills, it's those 4 guys across, Landry, Williams, Barmore, and Keon White, and you're like, all right, here we go. Carlton Davis, Conzo on the outside.
We talk about all these guys at such length that it's hard to have a secret weapon on this show.
Right.
Yeah. Because we're covering everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the secret weapon might be as camp goes along and you realize that somebody's going to have a little bit more of a role. Like, Craig Woodson, just throw it out. He's going to be
Chisholm.
like, somebody's going to, that you're not expecting is really coming on and might have a role somewhere.
Yeah.
Sean's in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
I want to help that caller earlier who was going on about Polk. I want to ease his concerns a little bit. Right now, in May, I see Polk as like 7th on the wide receiver depth chart. You have Diggs, you have Douglas, and you have Williams. You have what's the free agent?
I'm not helping you, Sean. Come on, Sean.
Yeah,
you got this.
Booty and Bourne. So that's like 6. And now
it's 5.
If Diggs is on PP to start the year, well, it's an easier path. But there's no guarantees that he makes the team. He's going to really have to show something on the field, and he's going to have to prove himself. So if Polk and Baker are on this team, it shows that they made a huge year 2 jump. That's what I see it.
Fair enough. No, I think that's fair.
That's why I bring my depth chart.
If they make the team, that means they have earned it.
Yeah,
right?
I do worry about Jalen Polk though, because he was fine in camp last year, and then it just completely unraveled for him in the season. So like, if for people that have been here, like Elliot Wolf, like does he look at it and say, well, like let's pump the brakes like he did this last summer too, and then we got into the season and it didn't look the same. So that's the part that I think is tricky with Polk in particular, is that he did put together a pretty good rookie training camp, and he looked the part, and it looked like he was going to have a role and all that kind of stuff. And to, like Deuce said earlier, he doesn't get his foot in bounds against Miami early on in the season, and that was sort of it.
Yeah.
So
he started thinking and dropping, and it just, I don't know. And I don't think he was getting the support he needed. Maybe the tough love that he needed.
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't mention Baker too, because I feel like there are probably more people on the Baker hype train, even though they probably both did nothing last year, really, when you boil it down. But I don't know. We'll see how he comes through. I think it's a good piece to have. I still like him. I still like the player. I just hope that Josh McDaniels is able to put him in position to be successful this year and build his confidence.
Kendall's in North Carolina. Hey, Kendall.
Get him on the field. Can't make the club from the tub.
Kendall. You there, Kendall?
Hey.
Oh, there you are.
Hey. I wanted to ask y'all, what did y'all see out of Kendrick Bourne today from OTA? I know you can't really tell too much. And what did y'all see out of Efton Chisholm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of them were active. I mean,
thanks, Kendall.
Bourne caught some passes. I mean, he looks healthy. He's good to see him back out there and fully participant. And Chisholm, you talked a little bit about him, but he was around. Made some catches.
I mean, Efton Chisholm looks exactly like every other slot receiver I've ever seen in a Patriots training camp so far. From Riley McCarron to Austin Carr to Gunnar Olszewski to Braxton Berrios to whoever. I mean, he got open. He gets open. There's no doubt about that. Now, he was running a lot with Josh Dobbs in sort of the second unit today, so I want to see it against Carlton Davis, Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, some of the top corners that they have here. But if he's he's got that just good knack of kind of understanding how to get open and where he's supposed to be, and knows his sweet spots and that sort of thing. He's got quickness. He's not fast, but he's quick. So I think there's something there for him.
Can I ask you a question? Did you clock any other corners getting involved there? It seemed
Some
heavily
Alex
involved other than the
Austin.
top three. Alex Austin had a nice play with Williams, where he was kind of running with him down the field.
Yeah, some Alex Austin in there a little bit, but those four guys seem to get a lot of the reps during team. Gonzalez, Davis, Marcus
When's
Jones.
our next access?
Next week.
Yeah, I think
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday, and then Monday, and then I think minicamp.
Yeah.
If my weeks are correct.
This is Jonathan from Virginia. Love the show. Been listening since 13. Wanted to drop in and echo the terrific response to Forged in Foxborough. I watched it this weekend and was put at ease with the hiring of Mike Vrabel. Very well done. Also, I don't live there anymore, but Travion Henderson is from the town I grew up in Hopewell, Virginia. We went to the same high school a few years apart. Saw when he helped win the state championship that season. Was thinking he might fall to us since Judkins went to the Browns, and was thrilled when he did. Makes it super easy to root for him in the NFL. Now it's a big deal in that city that he made it. Saw James White talk about a little birdie telling him that they're having Trey watch tape of his time playing. What have you seen from him in the limited amount of time that he's been on the field, and does it carry those same James White vibes? Little too soon.
Well, it was only today. He wasn't out at the one rookie minicamp practice that we got to see. But Evan laid it out. He just looked quick. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, but
he's built.
Yeah, he looks good balance, good,
It's great to see a 32 at running back again.
Sturdiness to him, good speed. I think he's different from James White. I think James White was a true pass-catching back.
Yep.
His third down, 3rd and 6.
Henderson has more speed, right?
Yeah, Henderson's just a little bit more explosive, but I think he's more well-rounded than I know James White was good. Ran the ball more in college, but I just don't look at them exactly the same because I think Henderson's faster in a straight line and maybe not quite as quick as James White was, but James White was extremely quick, but maybe not that breakaway speed type
Maybe not
of guy.
quite as sturdy too, even though they're both small guys. Like I get a little bit more of a Henderson could take a little bit more of a beating if he had to run early downs, go through the
That's
line.
definitely what's. I mean, look, it's one practice. I'm not going to sit here and like start fitting the guy for red jackets. But like the one thing that you always look for is like how does he move and like how does he carry the weight, and he just looks like a built player, explosive built player. That's not 6'5", he's not huge, but he's got that compact like juice to him, which I think is exciting.
Jonathan also says, P.S. Father Fred, I have a confession. We're moving, and we bought an LG washer and dryer instead of a Speed Queen, despite my impassioned speech to my wife that Fred knows all about food stains and washing machines. It wasn't enough. I can just see this guy. But Fred says, and she's like, who the F is Fred? Why do I care what this guy on a podcast says?
Shame.
Right. Yeah.
I've been thinking too much about this Father Fred show. It keeps popping into my head.
Well, that's
I actually had it all worked out.
You got it all.
I actually have my treatment. But it's not Father Fred. It's Chicago Pope.
Right.
So Chicago Pope. So what it was is this guy was, when he was young, he was a police officer.
Okay.
And he was a damn good one. But there's a traumatic experience in his life that he quit being a police officer and became a priest. And we don't know what that traumatic thing is in the show.
Build out.
We're going to build. We're going to learn
slowly, bit by bit.
But we don't know. We don't know the
Die
traumatic experience. But he became as good a priest as he was a cop, and he rose. He became a bishop, then a cardinal, and then eventually pope. But he can never turn his back on Chicago, so he always goes back to help them fight crime.
Fred, you want me to hook you up with my old bosses? I think you got a sale on them. We're going to line up bidding war.
Fantastic.
NBC wants it, ABC, CBS, they're all
get the
lining up.
pilot
And
green light.
there's the hot nun.
Right.
Can't forget about that.
Well, you got to have a will there, won't they?
And there's Father Fred.
Right.
Yeah.
Who plays the hot nun? And that's the question.
I don't know, but it could be a spin-off after a few years.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
That made no sense.
She's very Latin.
I'm thinking of just like catchphrases because I grew up, going to Catholic masses and stuff. I would think of, like in the name of the Father, all the little things that could have like double meanings now.
Oh, of course.
So it's a gold mine.
Would the nun walk around with a ruler?
Oh no.
What'd you say, Matt?
The ruler.
The nun should walk around with a ruler.
Yeah. Oh.
To measure or to beat people.
Yeah.
Some people might like that a little too much.
Oh, now, okay, now.
Let's see how you stack up.
Oh my God!
Forgive me, Father.
What are we just walking?
Have you sinned?
Yeah.
What are you watching over there?
Well, Father Fred, that's what it's going to be. You got to have a lot of that stuff. You gotta,
No, it's a
sexy
CBS
back and
show,
forth.
so it's not.
It's for the old people.
Yeah.
Your discretion is advised, though.
Right. Father Fred is intended for mature viewing audiences.
If Chicago Pope, dude, dang it, Father Fred is a character.
Right. Right.
Gotta get it right.
Wait, but you know what, Fred? I'm going to build on this.
Okay.
So you still have connections in the police force, so you help.
Of course.
From time to time.
That's exactly right.
You solve the cases.
Exactly.
Like them in
so like
there's
even
like a low-key vibe of
even
mob activity
during
in there
his
too,
ascension as priest, bishop, cardinal, he was always helping the police force.
Yeah.
That was in his blood.
Yeah.
But something happened. We don't know that he became a priest.
Right, and it has whatever that thing happened, it has to tie to the antagonist who is the head of the Chicago diocese. That he's dirty. He's involved in things.
He saw something in his life that said, "I'm going to become a priest." Yeah. So there's something.
I mean, this sounds like an award-winning show.
I just keep hearing, "Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned." And Fred being like, just puts his like buffalo dip
You've
finger.
You ever hear about my time in Tampa? All right. Daniel writes in, I've heard everything about Vrabel's time with Tennessee and how it relates to what he'll bring to New England as a coach, but nothing about his time with the Browns. Do you have any opinions or insight on his time there and if it might have affected his coaching?
Yeah.
So last year.
Yeah. He's talked about it a couple times. I think it was.
I think it was a learning thing, right?
Kevin Stefanski's idea to have him work with the offense a little bit and work with the offensive line. So getting a little bit more rounded out in his coaching. But every time I see Vrabel, I mean, that goes back even before last year. I feel like that guy can't get away from the offensive line. Like he just loves putting that pad on and tangling with the big boys. Like, I just think it puts him back on his playing days. That's what he was
they're
most
the most
familiar with doing.
relatable.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones I think you want to coach more.
Yeah.
You know?
He has a coaching point for after every single play.
Yeah,
He's saying
right.
something. Like, there's some coaches that are kind of standoffish, and today, I don't know if it was just by design, but like Josh McDaniels seemed a little like he had the headset on and was relaying the plays, and he was kind of letting them play. Like, he wasn't after every rep, he wasn't going up to Drake and like coaching him. But Vrabel was 10 yards behind the play. After every play, he was talking to guys. You did this, do that, whatever. And we've noticed that in rookie minicamp too. Like, he's as involved as any coach I've ever, like maybe even more involved than Bill in some respects.
He's got an opinion about everything.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of praise heaped on us. Now some grievances.
Got it.
Who is this? This is Jay. Feel forced to make this email now, and there's something else that bothers me. First off, you guys are incredible entertainers. Now that the fluff is over with, one, the intro says Patriots Unfiltered too many times. Please get rid of the robot voice. The world's original podcast works. We don't need to hear it more. It's a bad intro.
Bad intro.
Two, the PU halftime, or WE as it's called, is so freaking entertaining, but the music is both loud and distracting. It's a horrible track to put behind people talking. It's just loud jazz. Please fix both the track and the volume.
I already talked to him about it.
Okay.
Done.
And three,
I would say it was more sonic sounding than it was jazz.
okay, why do we even have music while they're talking?
That was somebody else.
Spice it up.
Like, and this, like I asked someone here that worked for ESPN, they can't even answer. Why is it when you're watching ESPN and you get talking heads analyzing, and then they show some highlights, do they always feel they have to have the music under bed?
Right.
So he's talking, there's a highlight going on, and there's music playing. Why do they do that? Do you notice that?
No, I know.
They feel that they have to have music playing when you're watching a highlight
package,
even when someone's talking.
And it's hard, like, because we get our coaching from Jerry, and like we talk a lot about that, about you don't know when you're covered, right? So like you could be talking and they could be showing highlights over you, and so then how you like?
I guess maybe the music indicates that I'm covered. Maybe I don't know.
Right, that is tricky though, because like you don't know, how the editor is going to edit you, and so then you have to. Your delivery has to change a little bit when you're covered so that they can hear you. And
Don't highlights have to have music, or wouldn't that seem weird? Like, do you feel like if you just show? Maybe I'm just not picturing it, but like I always.
If no one's talking, but when there's someone talking and you've got the music.
Oh, and then they.
So I don't know why they do that, but they all do it. They all do it
when they lose.
3, Evan. No one cares about the Celtics. You make everyone upset every time you go on one of your rants. Please keep doing it.
That's right.
Everybody cares.
Tell Paul that too.
It's a little too soon still.
John in L.A., I've been loving the draft profiles of the 2025 draft class so much that it got me thinking it would be kind of cool and sneaky good way to add content to the site with very little effort. If Patriots.com added a new feature by periodically revisiting old draft profiles of draft picks from the past. You could do a hit and miss pairing, Logan Mankins and Duke Dawson, I guess, but it's probably wiser to just play the hits. I, for one, would love to go back and see what Paul or Eric or Andy wrote about, say, Julian Edelman or Teddy Bruschi, and what insights the college coaches shared with PFW at the earliest career moments of those players. I would also be curious to read the draft profile done on Aaron Hernandez, though I certainly understand why Patriots.com might prefer to leave that one in the rear view. Again, it wouldn't require too many man hours to produce, and presto, extra content. I think we do that leading up to the draft next year. As sort of like an appetizer to the draft.
Do you think my Dalton Keene one will make the cut, or is that?
It could.
I love doing the draft profiles. It's one of my favorite things to do because it's just ball, right? You just talk about these guys. You just get to talk about their playing styles and their journeys, their football journeys.
And the coaches are always so excited to talk about them. They're so proud of their former players, and Yeah, it's different because we cover the team, we write about the team, with little observations, that kind of. But to have just a chance to interview someone and write an article, it's fun, and
so you get to flex a different muscle. Like, you don't like write a ton of features, so to like be able to write something like that is cool. And
shout out Alex and Jules.
Yeah, they did
ones
who
this both
year,
also chipped in and wrote a couple of them, so helped us get through all 11 of the prospects.
I think we're done now, right? I think
We're
Kobe
done.
Minor published, so I think we're done.
Kobe Minor published, and you guys have been doing that, Fred, all the way back to the paper days. Is that that's always been
we
a
do it
thing?
in writing, But they'd always call the coaches from college, and they'd have like a little chart, like a bar chart, coachability, technique, and they'd show where they are on those different categories.
Shoot, I don't think I've done anybody who's stuck. Like I had like Max. I remember Dalton Keynes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot every year.
You guys have spoiled me, and I've gotten their first round pick the last 3 years. So I did Gonzo's, I did Drake Mays.
Yeah.
So those ones have been good so far.
You love
at least.
This is Gert in Belgium. It's my first time writing in, but after seeing the first episode of Forge in Foxborough, I had to. When the episode was over, especially the part with Will Campbell, I wanted to start a career in Madden as a left tackle. Can you have a career in Madden?
Sure,
as a left tackle?
100%.
Oh yeah,
It's a little tedious, but you
I
can
got
do it.
goosebumps during the whole draft portion of the episode. I feel like we got our guys.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the Patriots' future. Can't wait until the season begins. I love what you guys and girls do. Listen to PU on my runs, and it almost makes me forget I'm on a workout.
Oh.
I mean, I have kind of like, I'll have to think of the term, but just like encouragement about tackles right now, because to see just Will Campbell out there at left tackle, Moses wasn't really participating, but you're still getting Caden Wallace some opportunities out there, and even Trey Jacobs. So I don't know. It's just great to look out there and be like, there's Will Campbell. You spent all this like last 3 months thinking about this kid. Is he going to be here? And then all of a sudden he's just there. He is. He's your left tackle, just like that.
I mean, there's going to be rookie growing pains for any player, and I'm sure Will Campbell will have his, but just like the way he moves looks like a top 10 pick. You know, the explosiveness out of his stance, and just how quickly he gets into the block, and the power that he can generate from the ground up.
And he's still a baby.
Yeah,
relatively speaking.
Yeah,
he's only 22.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a good thing, too. Just their theme of last couple of years, you get Gonzo's only 22, Drake May is still only 22, Will Campbell is young, and all these guys that came out as true junior declares, like
was young.
that's like the real premium talent when you get your hand. They've been drafting high, so that's why. But like those types of guys are the guys that are really the blue chip level talents, because they broke out so early in their college careers. So you see all three of these guys together now, and like I said earlier, I mean, Gonzo is the best player on the field today.
You know what I was thinking about real quick was when we had Chase on in here, and he talked about going opposite Max Crosby. As Patriots got Max Crosby coming here week 1 for Will Campbell. I wonder if that's going to be a matchup that the Raiders try to.
Well, Max Crosby typically rushes
I know,
over the right tackle.
Yeah, but
so do they hunt?
It might be tempting.
They switch him to go after the rookie.
I mean, I'd definitely be testing him if I was another team.
Yeah, for sure.
Matthew in Arizona, love Forge in Foxborough. Was wondering it would be fun to do a small web series. Evan or whoever drives a player or coach in a golf cart to and from Gillette Stadium to Duncan as you talk to them about all things about their lives. A good way to get to know everyone one-on-one.
Duncan run.
You could do that.
Duncan run.
Yeah.
Yeah, hop on the thing. And
because you'd have to take the long way.
Right.
So that would be a good, 10, 15 minutes in the golf cart.
It'd be fun because I'm not the best golf cart driver. That'd add an element of danger to it that I think would really spice it up a little bit.
What if you had a driver and the two of you sit in that back seat so you're facing out?
Duncan run?
I don't know. A golf cart on Route 1 might be a little
No, you don't have to go on Route 1. There's one right here in Patriot Place.
We'll go the long way.
So you're going to go the long way?
You go the long way, and then you drive right up into Duncan.
Right.
To Duncan.
Yeah, and then mobile order, they bring it right out to us.
I was going to say, because the one right down the street has a drive-through, so we could take the golf cart through.
We're not taking the golf cart on Route 1. Oh, my God.
Duncan run. Where's Tim from Duncan? Call in. Tell us if you like it.
I can just see it now. They're doing what?
Just sold a sponsor element. Wrecking your money.
Mr. Kraft, one of your golf carts got involved in an accident.
Wait, it could be like a gator, like not like a golf cart, but like like
some
a
little
real,
girth to it.
Yeah.
What about? No. Nowhere where there's other traffic.
Forklift.
We'll just hit people, not cars.
Can't drive a forklift, dude.
Audrey says, do you know about the old BBC show called Father Ted? I didn't know that. It's both stupid and very funny. The religious humor is great. Have a couple drinks, watch and laugh. Right up your alley, Fred. Quite inappropriate.
Father Ted. I'm gonna look that up. Hold, please.
Father Ted.
Ted.
Okay.
It's an Irish television drama.
Yeah.
It's a reference, sarcastic.
A lot of emails. I was worried that when we pushed the show to 2 that we wouldn't have the same audience. But
and without Paul.
According to the calls and emails, we still have the same amount of people.
None.
So Paul didn't tell, like he said, can we do the show on Wednesday because of practice? He didn't tell me that he wasn't going to be on the show.
Well, he was trying to, double dip. He was trying to get the move without having.
I know, but
he's trying to push Catch 22 out. That's what he was trying to
think
do.
of that. It's like, why don't we just do it the day after at the same time? I'm like, well, Evan does Catch 22.
My time slot, Paul.
Ismar writes in, Ismar, I'm sorry. He has a pronunciation in the bottom. Needs some advice. Planning to come over from the UK to watch a home game early in the season. Which should I choose? I'm leaning toward the Steelers because of the history, but Panthers seems, like emphasis on seems, the best chance of seeing a win. Or shall I suck it up and go to both?
Well, both.
Well, that's a good call to go
For
early
sure.
in the season. You want to, you don't post Halloween. It can get a little chilly, as everyone knows. So it's a good call. I would go Pittsburgh. Like, there's a little bit more, like he said. There's a more history, more rivalry. Like Patriots Panthers, that just doesn't have a lot of juice to me.
Well, if your sole goal is to see a win,
true,
it might be Panthers. But I say that, but who knows who's going to be what this year?
I also, who's going to be the Steelers quarterback? Like, it
Right.
sounds like it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but
There also might be a cost consideration because that might be one of those upper tier games that's a little bit more expensive than the Panthers game too.
Yeah, that's true. They are tiered. Ron from the Poconos writes in. His subject line is the statue.
Oh.
Brady holding the ball overhead just before Vinatieri's kick. That's the carved in stone image for me. It's an iconic moment in time, almost biblical, epic. It symbolizes everything that came before and what's about to happen. It's perfect. The conquering hero raising the trophy, the victor holding the severed head of the vanquished enemy of mediocrity. I don't see any other frozen moments that tells us. So I guess, did you guys ask for what the statue should look like? Or?
No, I think this is
I don't know.
just
That's just random?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we did. We did some statue talk last week, maybe from when we were out. A little bit of statue.
Yeah, and if you want to know when the statue is going to be unveiled, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody does. Nobody does.
Statues are complicated.
I was like, are we going to... We don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know what it looks like.
Did you hear, I guess, I forget who from the Raiders said that he's rarely there, but he's very involved.
Pete Carroll, I think.
Pete Carroll said it? Yeah,
Pete Carroll.
makes sense. He is the coach.
Yeah.
So I don't know what very involved means.
Sounds like it might be annoying, but
yeah.
Got a daily update call or something.
I thought he was supposed to be here more often.
Yeah.
How
what percentage of the team does he own? Actually, do we know? Is it like 1.3%? Like
yeah.
Mark's in Connecticut. There we go. Mark, what's up?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Hey, everybody. Thanks for taking my call. I got two quick things for you. Speaking of Will Campbell, I'm on vacation down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
All right.
And I got to go down to Tiger Stadium. What an amazing facility they got there.
Sure.
Yep.
I was there. It's very
And
cool.
the other thing, Evan, how does our guy C.J. Dupree look? I know it's only spring, OTAs and whatever, but what do you think? Is the kid got a good shot to make the roster? Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks, Mark.
I can't wait to see him in pads. He's huge.
Big.
Yeah, it looks like he's a sixth offensive lineman when he lines up outside the tackle. So this is not the time of year for CJ Dupree to shine. He's not an athlete. He's a big time blocker and a big physical dude. So we'll see when the pads come on in August. That's when he's going to make the roster. I don't think it's going to be now, but that just even at rookie minicamp, he's just a big guy. Really well built.
I was kind of thought Jaheim Bell looked good, like well built. I didn't see him do
Yeah.
anything today, but just saw him walking out and looked like he's in real good shape. We'll see. He's another one of those wild card guys.
Yeah, I went down to LSU for Jaden Daniels' pro day a couple years ago, and that facility is something. It was cool. They have like catwalks so you can get like the bird's eye view of the practice field. So I was up there watching Jaden Daniels throw darts to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. and I was just like, all three of these guys are just unreal.
Here we go again,
like,
right?
Oh my god!
Like that's when we were at that point before when I was like, can you believe it used to be Joe Burrow and Jefferson and Chase, and now it's like, can you believe? Like,
it was cool.
Mike in Groveland writes in, I emailed about having better off-season programming like other teams' own Hard Knock style shows. Wow, you delivered with that first episode of Forge and Foxborough. Well done by all. Nice. So I mean, people, I'm really glad that people are enjoying it. You know, like he said, other teams have had this. Like nothing new was invented, but for our fan base, it's all new.
Yeah,
it's all new.
Yeah. No, it felt like kind of a palate cleanser to me after the last couple of years, where just if a video could hit the reset button, as far as the mood around the team, that's what it felt like it did for me. And that's just, you know, wearing my fan hat. Like they showed us the trailer, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago or something. I was like, this is perfect. This is just what this team needs to just hit the reset button as far as all this stuff goes, and get everybody focused on. That's what's so great about Vrabel is like people know him, they like him, but they're not like they don't know him. They don't know him as a coach really yet, and that's what I think it'll be good to get to know him that way.
Yeah, it's good to get to know the personnel guys too. Like I think Ryan Cadden seems like an awesome executive, right? And have him here too, and get to know him, and maybe get to know Elliott a little bit more than what people know of him. I think that's good. I think it's good to like have that sort of relationship with a guy. I don't think that's always the case here.
I almost ran up to him today because he was walking off a little bit before me, and like he's just been so nice to all of us.
Yeah.
And we talked to him on when we talked to him during draft night, saying nice to meet you guys, this way finally. But I don't know. He seems to really care and understand the position he's in, and I think so far he's doing a good job, kind of bringing it all together.
Yeah.
Brett in Leominster, wouldn't be a show without Jaws mention.
Nope.
So last week, the crew was talking about a company day, seeing Jaws in the theater with their craft co-workers. How about a PU Jaws showing the crew and their listeners can go to in Foxborough and watch it? You can have trivia. Promise to give out more free shirts. Maybe have Deuce guest speak on Jaws stuff he's learned from podcasts, and Evan can wear a Celtics jersey and make popcorn for everybody.
And not watch and just smoke. That would be
I
fun.
don't like this movie.
Watch Jaws with Patriots Unfiltered.
You know what? I like this idea of watching Jaws though, because I've watched it. I've watched it like once when I was like a kid. I didn't get it. So maybe as an adult, like
I'll explain the plot
What's
to you.
to get?
There's a shark.
It's a shark killing people.
No, it's not like
kills
I didn't
people,
get
so they
I
have to
just
kill the
didn't think
shark.
it was that good. Like I just didn't
You didn't get
understand.
you didn't get the.
like I was like,
Like
this is
5-year-old Evan was like, I don't care for this.
I was like, where's the shark? Like,
Dad, that looks fake. This is stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up, Evan.
Well, I mean, I can understand now with CGI and everything. Everything is just there's nothing left to the imagination.
But that's
where a young person today would be like, that movie sucks.
But I think the CGI stuff looks
now.
fake to me. Like if I watch like Deep Blue Sea, which is another shark.
You mean that
movie,
shark didn't look fake to
those
you?
sharks look super fake.
Megalodon doesn't look
But I
real.
think you can suspend disbelief in.
Well, that's what I
in
mean.
Jaws.
But nowadays, nobody wants to suspend the
Yeah,
belief.
I don't know. It's just some of the jokes.
It's got to
like
look
the humor,
real.
Like I just didn't get
There's
it.
no
Like,
humor in Jaws.
What do you mean? Like all the the little one-liners that you and Paul are dropping.
Those aren't
on.
actually jokes. They're just actually dramatic
better
lines.
get a bigger boat.
That's
Like,
not a joke.
That's
That would be your college film course. There's no humor in Jaws. That's the name of your course.
Well, I mean, I wish Paul was here because but are there actually any jokes? Like jokes in
you guys laugh at things you say
I
all
know,
the
they're
time.
not real jokes. Like we're gonna need a bigger boat. It's not really a joke.
There's some jokes.
That's supposed to be a joke.
Oh yeah, they make the
but
joke
it's just
about like
not
the scars
funny.
and stuff. There's some joking around going on there, but it's a very serious movie. People are getting eaten by a shark. They got to do something about it.
I know. I go to the Jaws bridge every time. We got it.
You like watch The Matrix? You're like, yeah, I got it. Like the Jaws thing.
The sarcasm is considered comedy.
Yeah,
That's what I'm. Oh, we need a bigger boat.
Well, they need that's fair enough. But I think in the moment, Chief Brody probably was not really thinking about the humor of it all. He's probably very scared that he wasn't going to make it back to Ellen and the kids.
Let's see. Darius writes in. He says, "I would love to start off with I love you guys, your guys' show in Forge and Foxborough. We haven't really talked about the competition Will Campbell will ultimately have to face as a rookie. Could you guys please touch on that? I know it's a long way away, but I think it's a good talking point.
Yeah.
No, we talked.
Start with Max Crosby.
Max Crosby in week one. If they move him around,
who's opposite him now, though? Are they gonna what the kid they drafted last year? Pretty high, but it was kind of a bust. I'm banking on his
Tyree
name,
Wilson.
Texas kid. Yeah. Like it's him.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a little bit of a break. But look, every week is going to be hard. I mean, he's a rookie tackle.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to face Max Crosby or just Joe average right end, it's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, I think the guy that just in division, like Chop Robinson from Miami, like you worry with reach and things, like you worry about speed in particular, off the edge being a problem for guys like Will Campbell. So, he's going to see Chop Robinson in Miami twice a year.
Yeah, what about, and I didn't see this, but I read, the kid from Arkansas, Landon
Jackson.
That he had a tough time with Landon Jackson, who's in Buffalo
Big,
now.
long,
huge dude,
explosive, raw rusher.
So that's one. And it's division guys you're talking about.
No, those are the guys you always look at.
Even the best have problems at times, so it's not going to be perfect.
No.
But we got our guy. All right, we'll be back on Thursday at our normal time at noon. Catch 22 tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, we'll talk mini.
How's Barth
OTA.
doing? Is he doing all right?
Oh.
Barth's doing all right.
Yeah?
He's doing okay.
Is he taking the Celtics as hard as you are, or no?
No, he definitely is
I
not.
saw him out there taking photos today.
Oh, yeah, no,
I mean, the
it-
kid does everything. He does everything.
It's for his personal
low
collection.
budget,
His private collection.
Is that for Barth.com or is that for 98.5?
No, that's for 98.5 because I don't want to get into it. It's probably not my place to talk about it. But his new thing is we're starting a GoFundMe to get Barth to Minnesota for joint practices. So we got him to the combine. So now can we get him to Minnesota for joint practices? That's the next.
Well,
big
listen, I'll tell you right now, 98.5, if you're listening, you hired this guy to cover the Patriots, and if you're not going to send him to joint practices in Minnesota, what are you doing? I mean, what's it cost you? A couple nights hotel and an airfare? The kid doesn't eat. He eats football. He eats, sleeps, and drinks football. So you don't have to pay for his food.
He does forget to eat a lot.
Yes. So just get him a flight and a hotel and send him to Minnesota, all right? Do the right thing.
Boom.
All right, we'll see you Thursday.
Hey, this is Evan. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure to like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to follow on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.
Original podcast.